One of the two high impact news events for this week in crypto and the finance markets is over. We're waiting on the second one, which is to come through in the next 24 hours. And the second is the Fed meeting. The first is the EU vote, and we have some clarity around that, which we'll go through in today's video and obviously reflect that in the price of the charts and potentially, as always, what is coming next. At the end of the video, I'll look through some of your questions that you've posted in the comments down below. So make sure you're subscribed, like the videos, get your questions in, and of course, share the content with a friend if you find some value from the video. As always, you can find the links to Patreon and our free newsletter in the top of the description. There's still the $4,000 giveaway from Bybit, so check out that link down below. And for the Aussies, check out SwiftX if you're looking for a new cryptocurrency exchange. You can also stake your cryptos over there as well for some pretty awesome returns. Before we dive into the charts and the news, let's take a look at what's going on overall in the cryptocurrency space. Bitcoin is charging towards its daily close. It's about 9:30 a.m. as I record this in Australia. Daily closes in about half an hour. Bitcoin is getting closer to the $40,000. I'm almost like a broken record talking about $40,000. Basically, this is the level for Bitcoin that I am looking for some extra consolidation above that level. And we'll look at that on the charts for the reasons why. Ethereum, 2,000, nearly 600, 2,600, and the other majors which are moving against Bitcoin and increasing in value against Bitcoin and Ethereum are Luna and Rune. Thorchain has been going up, and this is one of the cryptos that we have posted in our Patreon group. So as I mentioned earlier, check out the link in the top of the description. This was a trade which Michael was getting onto for his trading, his leverage trading portfolio. So yeah, check out the link in the top of the description. Rune has been going great guns across the market. So I'm using CoinGecko here, which anyone can do. Go and click on this, look at BTC. So click that down rather than USD. I'm just looking for cryptos which are going to be stronger than Bitcoin. Maybe these are going to be the first ones that lead the charge to being a strong horse for a short-term trade. Obviously, my views at the moment, April could be maybe a little bit of a rise in prices after we've seen so many months down. So April might be a little bit more of a positive month. I don't think the bear market is going to turn around in April and it's all going to be over for the bears and the bulls take over. But maybe we'll get some more opportunities to trade some altcoins. So taking a look at this chart in particular, which is why I look at this, 24 hours, everything else is down against BTC value. So you can see the price is BTC, BTC is zero, negatives against Bitcoin. Terra Luna is up, so the Luna token here, 3%, but I want to see stuff that's a little bit more and then look for pullbacks and then trade on the momentum. That's just my strategy. Other people prefer to be buying the dips all the way down. So be it, that's up to them. But I want to be trading to make money as quick as possible when it comes to momentum swing trading. So we just look down, pretty much everything else is in the red besides the graph at a few percent, and even on the week only a few percent. But Thorchain has been the big standout here. The last 24 hours about 9%, 7 days about 54%. And we just keep scrolling, everything else is red. If trying to understand trading between altcoins and Bitcoin is a little bit tricky, you can still do it with US dollars and you just go through and click on the 24 hours. It just takes a little bit more on the eye to see what's going on. So Bitcoin is at 2.6% on the 24 hours. So anything above that price has outperformed Bitcoin, and anything below that price has not performed as well as Bitcoin. But this just makes it a little bit easier because I can use colors, which I enjoy, to see the differences between cryptocurrencies. So the majority of them have been red, and some of these odd standouts, which are making it into top 100, have performed very, very well against Bitcoin. Speaking of Bitcoin, taking a look at the price now, we are closing strong into the daily close, currently at 39,000, nearly 700. This is on the hourly chart, so this is our last hour into the close. We had peaked out at 39,900. So it's at the moment, short term, finding some resistance at that 40K level, which is of course is still the downtrend level. If I step it back to a daily chart as well, on just a short term outlook for the daily going back to the peak on the 2nd of March, the market is really trying to overcome this little level right here. So I think if we can at least do that, get above the downtrend and then find some support above the $40,000 level, this might give rise to maybe an alt season. Maybe this happens a few days later in April once it starts to stabilize at these levels. Doesn't necessarily mean it has to happen, but that's what I'm looking for because we have seen some higher lows come in. The market is pushing away at the moment, provided this closes strong. So get this nice high close on increasing volume, which is quite nice as well. So all of that's lending itself to higher lows and potentially getting ready to attempt a break. Doesn't mean it has to happen, and we'll have to see what happens in the next 24 hours in case this hits it and gets rejected again like it has done a few times before. So short term, things are leading towards more positivity for Bitcoin, and then hopefully that spills over into a few more cryptocurrencies. And in the long term, I still think we're probably going to see maybe a sideways or a bit of a bounce in April. But I think many, many months from now, I think we'll still see some sort of significant low, whether it's lower than what we've seen in January, or even lower than these levels, or maybe we do get a move up and then we still see a significant low sometime later in the year. The Bitcoin dominance is also closing strong for the day. We have broken above the 50% level again. So 43.5%, climbing its way towards 44% dominance in the overall market, still above the uptrend, which is good. And then of course the 50% level. So if we can get that close above 44, it's going to be the highest close that we've seen in many, many months. So positive to Bitcoin, and I think if it potentially stabilizes a little higher and start to go sideways or pull back, that's when we'll see the altcoins or some of them pop off a little bit. But I'm not expecting anything like 2021 where they popped off really, really heavily, at least in this short term. Now for the second high impact news announcement for this week. High impact is just something that is used in trading, especially in the Forex markets. It's basically a high impact news announcement, which means the volatility can be pretty wild, which makes it much better for traders. And so we have the Fed meeting coming up in about 24 to 48 hours time, and then it will conclude within those 2 days of the 15th and the 16th of March. I like this news headline the best: double-fisted tightening. And we'll look at the article itself. Federal Reserve meeting, brace for double-fisted tightening as stock markets struggle. Why they use that headline, I don't know. But nonetheless, we're looking at what the Deutsche Bank is saying about the Fed. Fed could let $800 billion in assets run off its balance sheet this year. Another $1.1 trillion would follow next year. The impact of the $1.9 trillion balance sheet reduction might be like 3.5 rate hikes, says the bank. My view for 2022 is that it's going to be another good year for longer term investors. For the short term, unless you're trading, I don't think there's going to be too much going on for the short term guys or people just looking at crypto. But 2022, I do like the sound of these things as I'm an investor, and I'm looking at this particularly or only specifically from an investment point of view. Now, the Fed tightening, interest rates potentially rising, the uncertainty around the world, and then that is now taking the heat and the FOMO out of the property market. And of course, I know this is a crypto based channel, but I do invest in property as well. And I'm seeing some of this come through into the property market, which is why I'm getting very excited to be looking to purchase property in 2022. So this is from the Aussie market, but I would say it's going to be very similar across some of the other major cities around Western developed countries. So in Australia, at least, we're starting to see the heat come out of the market. We can see the weekly clearance rates are starting to fall a little bit. This is on auctions, and the slowing buyer demand, especially coming through from Sydney and Melbourne, the two majors in Australia. They've had some negative months, nothing major, but just enough to take the heat off the market so the buyers can get back into the market. I highly doubt, obviously it's my opinion, my investment choices, that we'll see 10 or 20 or 30% losses in property values within Australia, the major capital cities anyway. I'm not talking about the very, very small towns which have been flood affected. And this might be similar to major cities across the US, people looking to get in. Probably going to see at least the FOMO come out of the market, especially while the uncertainty surrounds the market. Interest rates potentially rising, the unaffordability crisis, which continues to get perpetuated through news headlines. I take this very lightly because it's the news, and the news basically tells us what the insiders want us to hear, not what we need to know. And if you do want to stay up to date more with economics and real estate markets, check out the link to the free newsletter in the top of the description. We have a free newsletter coming out in about the next 24 hours. So check that out. Covers everything real estate, crypto, and a little on the stock market as well, as it's all tied together. Now, for the EU, rejecting the Parliament Committee vote, proposal limiting proof of work is rejected in EU Parliament Committee vote. So the provision could have required cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin to shift to more environmentally friendly mechanisms. This has been voted down. By accepting my proposal, members have paved the way for future-orientated crypto regulations. So now we can move forward in the EU to get some regulations. And thanks to your comments as well, looking at this specifically, we don't think they're going to ban it because they can make money from regulating a new industry. It is now a matter of accepting the report as a whole in the final vote and sending out strong signal for innovation. Build and let the government, the Parliament, regulate it to take more money from the industry. Even with that news, it hasn't settled the markets with more inflows just yet. This, of course, is lagging by a week, but we saw the first week of outflows, pretty heavy outflows as well, that we can see over the last 12 or so months. We had 7 weeks, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of positive inflows, and now 1 week of outflows. And they come primarily from Bitcoin and Ethereum. Now I'm bracing for some Tether FUD, cryptocurrency's biggest stablecoin. A hedge fund, Fir Tree, bets big with short of stablecoin Tether. Tether has faced scrutiny over reserves it holds against coins. So basically, what does Tether actually hold? No one really knows. I mean, they've told us in an audit, but does anyone actually believe that? The $4 billion firm predicts the bet could pay within a year. So they're a $4 billion firm. Doesn't necessarily mean they're betting $4 million that Tether will go down. But you can bet your bottom dollar, I'm going to bet my bottom dollar, if there was a place to do so, that these sort of companies are going to tell us what we want to hear, not what we need to hear. We saw this through 2021, and being around the space since 2017, and even older guys would have seen the same thing repeat over and over and over again about Tether. So they need to have negative press published about Tether to potentially get Tether to go down. They'll start to look for reasons why Tether is insolvent, or that they don't hold what they say they hold, even though they've gone through some audits and been fined already. They need this because they're shorting the market. They want Tether to fail because if Tether fails, they make more money. So that's some wild speculation on my behalf. It doesn't stand on anything else apart from what I've seen happen in finance and investing over the last 15 years. Plus, when you study history, it's basically where a lot of the analysis started from, especially like Wyckoff analysis. They see what the insiders do, and it's been happening since the dawn of time in finance. If you have a different opinion, let me know in the comments down below. Drop yourself a question. I'm searching for questions down here and just reading out a few of those with some brief answers. Mate, you're the best crypto YouTuber out there. Thank you. And looking at a Gold Coast crypto meetup, I'm looking to do something potentially with Phil Anderson in the coming weeks. So stay tuned to the channel and of course Twitter as well. And I'll let you guys know when something is organized. A couple of other questions here. What makes you think the bear market will be over in April? Will you start buying altcoins again? I don't think the bear market will be over in April. I mentioned that earlier in the video. I think we may get some moves on some altcoins if Bitcoin can stabilize above some resistance levels. But apart from that, I think we've still got several more months for 2022 in basically a bearish sentiment. What are your thoughts on the popular opinion floating at the moment suggesting Bitcoin may see 2025K? Can you provide some insight? Yes, so I've got a 4-year cycle video that you can check out at the end of this video here as well. Potentially 2025 in terms of a price, maybe somewhere around that mid-20s to high 20s as well. But we'll be able to know a little more once we see Bitcoin stabilize and start to move away from some resistance levels. Relatively new to the channel, what's a simp? A simp is the Crypto Simps podcast that I do with Eric Crown on Eric's channel. So stay tuned to Twitter. That comes out on Wednesdays. Our free newsletter is going out in about 24 hours, so check out the link in the top of the video description. There's also the link to Patreon for our members there, where we look at trade alerts and also our portfolio structures. Thanks again for joining me on yet another video. Like, subscribe, and share it if you find some value from the content. I'll see you guys at the next one. Till then, have more fun to get more done.